series Candace Owens Confronts Destiny real life?
They are not the most literate.
You think people like graduating with college degrees can't read well?
Yeah, what I'm telling you is yes. That's what I'm telling you. They're not the most
What?
literate. We are not.
Graduation is illiterate?
If I wanted to see, like,
you gotta do the research in your own time.
Like,
I'm happy
to.
What do you mean it's not true? But I'm gonna tell you.
Okay, hold on. Let me finish my thing real quick.
Let me
I'm sorry,
explain.
because I've done a lot of research on college degrees and a lot of research on education, and every single thing that you're saying sounds really good on like a culture war perspective. But when you look at an actual economic perspective, when you look at actual firms that hire people, and when you look at the actual median wages for people that even have some college education, all of it, that's great for you, but for the average American, that's just not true. None of these numbers are found on average. You will never find data that supports the idea that high school earners on average
I guess college students are illiterate then?
college degree earners.
Every single person that I went to school with is not using the degrees that they paid for.
What did you go to college for?
Journalism.
Isn't that what you're doing right now?
What do you mean? You're acting like you're
Okay, just doing that.
a college dorm kid.
Yeah, and your catty insults towards people online make you seem like a high school mean girl. What are you doing here? What's going on?
I just did PBD, Patrick David. They know you over there, right? Are you laughing?
Value then, man.
Maybe. I know. I'm good. Do you know Adam over there?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just asked Adam. He was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I know Adam. Me and Adam are cool. I'm not as much sure about the PVD guy. I'm pretty. I'm a pretty far left guy, and I disagree with a lot of stuff they say.
But
Pretty crazy ways.
they got both on that show. That's why it's so great. I just did something with Chris Cuomo. You couldn't be further left. That's what I just did.
Yeah, I saw it. Well, when they bring on left guys, it's usually roast the fuck out of them. So.
No, that's not what happened at all.
Oh, that might not happen this time. That's what I've seen. When I had Anthony Weiner on, it was that. When I've seen other left-leaning guys go on, it's usually like a rake him over.
Well, one of them is on the left, right?
Which guy?
So, I really thought that Adam just said I've never voted for Republican, but I might vote Republican.
I think Adam is fair.
Yeah.
I think Adam is fair generally from what I've seen, but he's like center at best. And I'm not even like a communist type guy, but I mean, like Adam is like pretty center. Like he's like a. I just don't think he's behind all the Trump stuff.
But why laugh? I'm like, I just went Patrick David. It's like, haha, like what's that?
Oh, sorry. In my world, there's a lot. There's always like a lot of drama on people hating each other. So I just like this funny. I'm not sure those guys hate me or not. I've been on the show once. They seem like cool people, but the Patrick guy has said kind of weird things about me or my fan base before. So it's kind of like a funny. It's just a funny thing. There wasn't anything to do with it.
Okay. No, I was just curious. I was like, because you would go on a platform with someone on the right, presumably.
I guess you can laugh at Patrick.
Of course.
Okay, because you said because I'm on the left when I asked you, and I was like, what does that mean? Like, why people? We need more conversations. It doesn't need to be I'm on the left, I'm on the right. It's like, what do you actually think? You know, what do you actually believe?
Sure, I agree for sure. Yeah. What are you talking about mainly over the past week or two? What's the stuff that's captured your attention, your eyes the most?
Man, I talk about everything on my show. I mean, obviously, I think the biggest topic for me has been the Diddy lawsuit. It's the craziest thing that's come out, I think, since Jeffrey Epstein. And it's definitely significant because a lot of the work that I do is talking about or I guess really asking the question is what's happened to black culture? Because this is not the black culture that I grew up with. And the Diddy lawsuit potentially answers a lot of those questions. So,
do you say where you grew up?
I was born in White Plains, New York, and I grew up in Stamford, Connecticut.
Okay. What can you catch us up on the P. Diddy lawsuit? I haven't been in this area as much.
Are you kidding?
My mind has been, I've done Israel Palestine for the last 4 years or 4 months, and then like a whole bunch of
I have no idea about this.
So, in case you guys have not seen it, you can go over to my YouTube channel. I've been covering it, and if you're there, definitely subscribe. But so essentially, at the end of last year, Diddy was dating that girl Cassie for a long time, about 10 years.
Okay.
And she started making allegations that Diddy was very into some very sexually deviant things, I would say,
okay.
And forced her to do a lot of things against her will or drugs, whatever. She files this lawsuit, and basically overnight, I'm obviously named public, but he pays her off, so it ends. And then Cat Williams kind of alludes to the fact that more stuff is going to come out in 2024, and then a producer whose name is Rodney drops a lawsuit, and he alleges to have hundreds of hours of footage backing up his claims, and in the lawsuit he actually dropped pictures. So it wasn't just this, because you can always have a frivolous lawsuit. It can mean nothing. And what essentially his lawsuit suggests
what's with this Pierre Destiny,
allegedly, just for protection here, is that there's a blackmail ring in Hollywood. Diddy is a gangster. On top of Diddy sits Lucien Grange, who is the CEO
These are all Destiny
of
Pierre
Group. And this was for me one of the wildest parts. He tells a story about one night where Diddy got mad at somebody and just shot them in like the stomach and the hip. He shows the pictures of the blood all around the bathroom because he was right there when the person got shot, and he allegedly went to his knees and tried to help the person. It was Diddy and his son who allegedly shot him. But they said that there's one person that you call when something like that happens, and that guy's name is like Fahim something, and he will come clean it up. The LAPD will write a fake police report, and he shows like how the news then reported that the shooting happened outside and then it got wiped under the rug. And what's interesting is that guy who you call, the security guy, was the same security person who was one of only 2 people there when Michael Jackson died. So it's now reopened. All the Michael Jackson stuff, super interesting. A lot of stuff that I would say, a lot of proof presented in these documents. Like I said, there's a lot of photos included, and if what he is spelling out is correct, then it's basically a homosexual ring that works by blackmail. They host these what he calls freak-offs, and they drug people, and they get them to sleep with a minor or do something that you wouldn't want publicized, and then they own you, right? Because it's like, well, we have you on camera doing this, and so you're going to say or do whatever I want. So very much like the Jeffrey Epstein stuff.
Gotcha. Are these indictments, or are these just like affidavits or to the media? Is any of this stuff like going to court yet?
It's the lawsuit that he filed. So we're reading the lawsuit documents directly.
This is a civil lawsuit, I'm guessing?
Yes.
Okay.
He's suing Universal Music Group. He's suing Lucien Grange, personally. He alleges that Lucien Grange and Diddy are in a relationship by saying like they disappear into Diddy's room and for hours, and like this is the stuff that I've seen. I was groomed for sex. Like essentially he wasn't a gay man, but then Diddy found him when he was young. These are allegations he's making. Again, a lot of photos like of other rappers. He's named like Cuba Gooding Jr., who's an actor.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Is there has any of this stuff like leaked to the media in terms of like pictures or strong hard evidence, or are these mainly just in the charging documents or the civil case documents so far?
That's also what's really interesting is that yes, it's being covered, but not in the way that it should be covered. The fact that you don't know about it to me is crazy because we've never seen someone with hundreds of hours of footage putting in photos like here's a picture of the drugs that I have to carry at all times to keep Diddy high. Here's the name of the woman that gets the drugs. Here's a drug dealer. Here's a photo of me with this person. Here's the blood on the floor at night. It's like we've never seen this much proof to make those claims. So it's definitely something to watch.
Somebody said, I just seen chat. Somebody said over 100 million to the first civil suit that got settled in less than 24 hours. Is that true?
What's that? Over 100 million to
the first civil suit that got settled in less than 24 hours.
Did that happen with this?
I have no idea.
We might be talking about Cassie Cassie. 'Cause that
100 mil.
settled pretty quickly.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
and yeah, that Diddy's basically just at the top of a gang, and the person that's above him is Lucy Grange, which is just wild.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think? You made a mention that this might be an indicator of things that have happened with black culture. What do you mean by that, I guess?
So there has been just a very obvious corrosion in black culture. Like the music that I grew up
Black culture, here comes.
Representation, Lauryn Hill, like it was all about like family, love. It was real talent, and then something just really shifted, and it all became about derogatory, debased gangster rap. And it's a change that I've noted in a lot of my commentary. And I think other people have. Like I asked the question. There's a really, in my view, disgusting artist just in terms of the stuff that she publishes and the photos that she publishes, named Sexy Red, who they're now making a thing, right? Who makes the decision to sign a Sexy Red? You're telling me you have all the money and all the talent at your fingertips, and you sign a woman who, at her baby shower, 9 months pregnant, however pregnant she was twerking and had her butt cheeks in, like somebody's face was inside of her butt cheeks. That to me is very intentional. You're not signing her based on talent. You're not signing her based on following. You're signing her because it's filth, and you're perpetuating this filth into my community. So it's just something that I've noticed, something I talk about often, that we're intentionally being sold crack. It feels like,
So, I'm trying to think of which direction I want to go.
Any direction you want. I'm an open book.
Then woman, tua,
Yeah, you're
huh?
right. There are okay. So there are like two kind of different ways of viewing this, and I feel like you fall more to one side, and I'll get my side, and we kind of see if we can iron out or figure where we're at. I guess in the middle here. I feel like when you look at the evolution of, when we say like degenerate black culture or degenerate black music, I think we're generally talking about like the beginning of hip hop and rap, and then kind of the evolution of that going forward, coming away from like the R&B singers and everybody like in the 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever, right?
Yeah. But hip hop isn't always filth. But yeah, I get your point.
But that seems like
We're
a general,
generalizing,
It feels like when I look at music, or if I look at music that people create, oftentimes the music is a reflection of their circumstances. And you can see, especially as America and the black communities became more conscientious maybe of the ghettos that they've been kind of pushed into, or the policing situations that they had to be a part of, or drugs destroying their communities, et cetera, et cetera. And then those people turning to crime, that you also see the music and the art kind of reflect those conditions. And then those pieces of art that get created, especially music, end up being like worldwide popular. Like the most popular genre of music in the world is like hip hop and rap. So when I look at people pushing certain stuff today, I'm like, okay, well, we got two really big, in my opinion, I went to school for music, I was saxophone or whatever. So we got two really big contributions to the world of music from America. One was jazz, that came basically from the black community, and the second was like rap and hip hop. These forms of music become popular. People see that it's popular. They want to get involved. Obviously, the money men, the people on top, they want to kind of continue to push this because it's popular. Everybody around
Angel
the
tongue.
world consumes it. I feel like there are a lot of market forces at work that kind of perpetuate this and keep this happening. And that feels pretty satisfying to me to explain what's going on. So when we ask, like, why is it a woman twerking with somebody's face in her butt cheeks? Because for whatever reason, that's like what the worldwide culture seems to want to see right now. And then on the other side, it feels like from people,
No, what?
not just like conservatives, but I say broadly speaking,
Why is he getting more views than?
I guess I'll say on your side in general, it feels like there's this idea that there's this much more intentional or like malevolent force working behind the scenes.
Yes, there is. And so I'm going to push back on what you're suggesting here. You're suggesting that this reflects the community, and they're sharing their stories in a way that makes sense. That's completely not true. Okay, WAP does not reflect the circumstances that black people are living in. Singing about your vagina and how hard it's getting pounded is not the circumstance of living in the hood. I come from nothing. It's not that did not make me feel closer to the circumstances that I grew up in. And unfortunately, that's actually what people are telling black Americans. Like, actually, it's working the other way. You're
But that's his personal experience though.
putting something, your eyes and your ears are the windows to the soul, and you're basically, when you celebrate someone, and I'm using Cardi B here as an example because I think people are probably more familiar with her than they are with Sexy Red. When you put someone like that on the Grammys stage, which is again a decision being made. When I was growing up, the best, most talented people were on the Grammy stage. It was something you could watch with your family, and we still had poor people. You still had you still had poor people. You still had people that were living in the hood. Okay, we didn't need somebody talking about their vagina in order to feel seen. So what you're doing is you're setting the stage for younger girls who aspire to celebrities to say, okay, well, if I mimic that behavior, I too can become famous. What you're actually doing is you're setting the idols that people are going to look up to, and people are going to think this is what I should aspire to. So it's actually working in the exact opposite way.
Can I ask a question? In that like evolution of things, so if we look at like WAP in particular, hasn't it generally been the case that music is always kind of pushing these sexual boundaries? So it might have been Elvis
WAP music, bruh.
crotch and dancing. It might have been Michael Jackson's dancing is incredibly suggestive if you've seen that. It might have been in Woodstock, all the loser hippies talking about love, sex, and rock and roll and drugs. Wouldn't like WAP just be kind of like the next evolution in a long chain of
pushing boundaries is not degeneracy, okay? And so here's what I'll say to you. Why don't you pull up the lyrics to WAP and read them right now?
Well, I don't. Why would I need to do
No,
that?
it's just Woodstock. We're just pushing the boundaries a little bit. You probably never even read the lyrics to WAP
I think Ben Shapiro has a
no,
huge thing about
he
it.
couldn't have said. You may have seen him reading the sanitized version of WAP, not the one that is not sanitized. Like
Sanitize, bruh.
the sanitized one, which is still bad that she can perform at the Grammys, is what he read. You should read the lyrics to WAP before you make commentary that it's a reflection of what Black Americans are living through, or it's just somebody that's pushing a boundary. It's not that.
How do you explain the fact that like WAP was like a #1 like worldwide hit?
Because what I said to you is that they are artificially creating artists at this point. There's no question. And by the way, the Diddy docs, which I found to be a very compelling point, was that Diddy said to the guy, allegedly, who was the producer, that if he was willing to engage in homosexual behavior
Singer is artificial.
with
What?
him, that he would get him Producer of the Year Grammy. Okay, so what does that tell you? It means that the entire system is artificial. And by the way, this is something that Kanye said 10 years ago, or however long ago it was, when he took the trophy from Taylor Swift and said, like, this is all fake. This is not even based on merit anymore. And that is my point. The industry is not based on merit. It's not based on capitalism. It is based on selling.
What? The Taylor Swift. It's actually
Because
good
who do you
though.
want to artificially make the person that every black girl will look up to, or who they will aspire to? And
So I can definitely understand that like maybe award shows can be rigged, or people can think different things about who's being awarded based on merits at the Grammys or something like that. But like WAP was genuinely. Do you think it wasn't genuinely a popular song, or do you think that music execs have the ability to manufacture that desire publicly?
the latter. So if you start playing something tons of times on the airways and the latter, you can definitely make something out of their songs that I don't even like, that I've heard so much, that I know every single lyric to. And I'm like, I don't even know how I know every single lyric to the song, but it's just been
She's just complaining that he doesn't like the WAP music.
received this many plays, you put it everywhere. You award the person, you invite them to bizarre circumstance. Like, there's absolutely no reason that Cardi B is invited to sit down and ask questions to Joe Biden.
So
in no scenario, unless you are really making an effort to legitimize this person and to make this person aspirational. Again, this is not an insult to Cardi. I actually think that personality-wise, she's got a ton of talent and she's interesting. And I've said great things about her on Love and Hip Hop, and there are elements of her that make her a star. But what I'm saying is that a lot of that is manufactured, and I just don't see how anybody, when looking
Don't you think it's entirely possible or easily possible? So like, I feel like there's so many things wrong with this. So one is, why wouldn't competing record labels start pushing talent that's actually popular that people want to hear? I think that would be a big question. The second thing would be, how can we explain the top-down domination of this type of media popularity through all of our reality TV shows, all of our TikTok stuff, all of our YouTube videos, and the music industry? And then how can you explain that all happening worldwide?
Sure.
Like, it feels like that to try to explain this through people that are exercising control on these platforms would require more control than anybody's ever been able to exercise on any platform ever. And they're doing it like on multi-country, multi-stage
it's just
level.
called, it's very easy actually. It's a very basic concept pertaining to governments. They need propaganda. Hollywood is propaganda. You should, for those of you that are watching this live, go listen to the conversation that Joe Rogan had with Cat Williams, where he talked about all of this. And he said, I know you think that you're being entertained, and this is somebody that comes from inside of the industry. And he starts talking about the Diddy stuff, the idea that in order to climb higher, you kind of have to engage in nefarious behavior, and how he was collecting all of this information, and he was speaking out about what was happening inside of the industry. And he said, it is twofold. You might be being entertained, but they are making decisions about what will entertain you. And a great circumstance in which he presented that as evidence of that is transgenderism. And he asked hold on.
Okay.
He asked a question, which should be answered. He said to Joe Rogan,
how is it getting to
and he was
trans?
like, a guy wears a dress on the red carpet, okay? And then the media tells you how great he wore the dress. And he's like, he said, tell me one situation where he didn't wear the dress wonderfully, when he didn't wear the dress in a way that was amazing. It's because they have all agreed that this is the narrative. And then he talked about the fact that the record execs also own the publications that are saying that something is amazing or something is not amazing. And that is just plain old-fashioned propaganda. So you don't necessarily detach what we're talking about from your concept of what governments are interested in. It's always propaganda.
So I understand Cat Williams has said this. I also understand that Cat Williams was at one point his life addicted to crack, and I think he's famous for losing a fight to a high school kid. I think it was like benched his career for a while.
You can insult him, but it doesn't.
I'm not insulting him. I'm just saying that
I'm
not insulting him. I'm just saying that to like lean into his testimony, who also we would both acknowledge has a lot to gain by giving like incredulous testimony like this, like saying like, oh my god, these crazy things are happening, right? I don't know if I would just say, well, right, he does. You're the fact that you're talking about him and you're citing him and you know it, right? If anybody else is saying a similar thing, we'd say, well, okay, they're saying this because they have something to gain for it, right? He knows that this is going to be a hot take, and he knows that it's going to go viral. He says it, and he knows he's going to get a lot of eyes on him for it. So I think it's good to call that into question. I think the issue that I have when it comes to the accusation that everything is some top-down level propaganda is I feel like the conversation shifts away from the important stuff, which is why are people attracted to this type of stuff? Why do people vibe
So it's all propaganda, bro.
why are we replacing traditional better forms of media or more thought-provoking, I don't know
It
what you
just can be popular and liked by everyone.
media with this type of stuff. Instead of having conversations about the culture and the society, it's all fixated on some weird top-down plot to like control media consumption.
I think you just like to be contrarian, because I don't understand the point that you're making here. Of course.
Wait, hold on, let me restate that. I'm sorry. The point I'm making is very clear. If I was going to
What is being super clear?
do I got a almost 13-year-old son in a few days, okay? If I was to see that he's consuming media, my go-to would be like, hey, Nathan, why are you watching this? This is crazy. We need to look at something else. I need to, like, who are your friends? What are you looking at online? Like, we need to change our media consumption habits because this isn't working. I would never think, like, I think that the school is involved in disseminating media towards him and there's no way that we can change this. Because I feel like on your side of the story, people are basically like, we're hopeless. There's nothing we can do.
No, it's not hopeless, but if you want to be able to do something about something, you need to be able to acknowledge the something, right?
Well, what
so you can't make it a conspiracy. It's like, no, when I graduated high school, there wasn't a single trans kid. Now you've got,
What's the solution for this then? What?
like, more than 50% of kids that think that they're other. Like, that is obviously propaganda. Clearly, there's just it's not possible. Like, they didn't exist. Maybe there was one person, and then all of a sudden everyone is.
Sure, I think
that can only happen. That can only happen through propaganda, right? They're suddenly being told an option. They're kids, right? You want to experiment. You want to be different. You're looking for a way to stand out, and so you hold on. And in the classrooms, you've got teachers that are reinforcing this narrative that is, yes, top down, right? It's like Hollywood in lockstep with the Department of Education that is making these options available. If it was natural, when I graduated high school, there were gay kids, there were lesbian kids. There wasn't a ton of them. It wasn't an identity. That's another thing.
Yeah,
the identity thing is very new.
Interesting. I agree, for sure.
And so it shows you who are they emulating, who are they copying when they do this stuff, because it's an option. It's just being presented to you. It's obviously not natural if it didn't exist naturally.
I agree, but culture is a very complicated thing.
Culture is not a complicated thing. They are deciding
the amount of control over culture that you think they do. There's no shot that anybody would be able to top down control.
Well, like I said, there have been a lot of evidence that has come out, whether you're looking at the Jeffrey Epstein case or you're reading through the 72-page document for the Diddy lawsuit that suggests that the government is involved.
Even on the Jeffrey Epstein case, like what's suggesting government involvement here?
What do you mean? What do you mean suggesting?
Like what part of the Jeffrey Epstein case is like, oh my god, the government is like playing a part in this?
Well, the fact that he had ties to the Mossad and the CIA, and that when they raided his home, he had his face and about 6 different passports. Who can issue passports?
Sure, but when we look at
who can issue you a different identity?
I don't know if different identities, but per passports, I imagine you can get that illegally, or you can just get from countries depending on
You
citizenship.
can just pick the
But what I'm saying
passport.
is that, like, when we look at Epstein, right? Epstein was a billionaire, right?
Why was he a billionaire?
Why? Because of trading or whatever he did. I'm not sure.
No, that's the question. Nobody knows why.
I don't know why. Yeah, there's like $1 billion.
$1 billion.
Sure. There's lots of people where I don't know how they made their money, but to fill in the gaps of all of this with some.
No, you should always know how somebody became a billionaire. That's like a very easy thing. Like, somebody should be like, I became a billionaire, and you have no idea how. Like,
I'm sure there are tons of people.
It's like I sold a product. You know why Elon Musk has money. You know why Jeff Bezos has money. You should not say we can't connect the dots and how this person became a billionaire that was able to purchase.
Filings aren't always going to be public. That like, oh well, I can figure out exactly where this person became a
But
billionaire.
there's like a lot of person who is billionaire.
Like public traded companies or something. How would you ever know? There's no way you're gonna know that.
He did.
Then what's the question?
That's not a question. It's just nobody understands why Jeffrey Epstein or his brother have billions of dollars.
Well, you just said did he have a ton of shares in publicly traded companies?
What do you mean? Do you have a ton
Like
of
when we ask,
sources?
so here's the question: do you know how Jeff Bezos made his money? Or how Elon Musk made his money?
I know that Jeff Bezos created Amazon, and I know that Elon Musk has created a ton of things. Tesla, you got Starlink.
Okay, kind of, so not really. Bezos made his money because of the appreciation of shares of Amazon that he had a huge stake in, right? And Elon Musk made a lot of his money initially was on PayPal and a couple of ventures, and then because he had a huge equity stake in SpaceX and Tesla, especially. That's where they made the money. Is ownership of stock of publicly traded companies. That's why we look at those people. We say we know how they made the money. So I don't think Epstein had massive shares in publicly traded companies, did he? So he wouldn't have made.
Did you actually look into the Epstein case, or are you just because I can't tell right now if your thing is just to be contrarian?
Okay, hold on.
No, I mean serious. No, I'm asking you because it seems like you're just like whatever your position is.
Now here comes, bro.
And I'm gonna say something really quickly.
She's actually mad.
Try to say, well, how do we know? And it's like that's actually quite boring.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, dude, like let's actually have a real conversation because tons of stuff is happening right now. A lot of stuff is being exposed, right? People are for the first time able to grasp a theory that finally makes sense, right? It finally makes sense.
Absolutely destroyed.
It makes sense that there is a blackmail ring operating in DC because we don't understand why we keep sending our politicians to DC and then it's like they completely serve anybody other than the American people, right? So when that Jeffrey Epstein case got exposed, and if you were following it and reading the documents,
I read the entire document, the ADK report that came out from the government, the report on the president where he's supposed to.
And you're realizing how many artists have stood up and said this exact same thing was going on. Now you have somebody that's filed something with proof saying it's going on, and then you just have like a Destiny being like, oh, what if it's not going on? What if it's not?
Okay, well, sure. So
maybe WAP is just really just amazing. People just love talking about vaginas and like mopping the floor. It's like you can do that thing, but it's not interesting. You know what I mean?
Okay, sure.
It's like,
here's just an easy test question so I can get my bearings straight. What do you think about the 91 or so indictments for Donald Trump?
What do you mean?
Do you think that those are credible indictments that have credible evidence behind them?
Well, you speak to me specifically about which indictment you're
So
talking about.
the Mar-a-Lago case.
I actually haven't followed that one, so I'm not going to push back on that one. But I can tell you the ones that I have followed and I've given an answer on. Like obviously, we've never seen the media or the justice system go after any president in the way that
doesn't matter. You could say the same about P. Diddy. You've never seen the media go after a black artist.
I didn't say it did. It didn't. I didn't finish my statement. Why are you saying it doesn't matter? Why did you say that?
It could be that nobody's ever done something this.
But I haven't.
Before.
You're so contrarian that you haven't even.
Not,
finished, you haven't even let me finish my sentence.
No, it's just contrarian.
It doesn't matter. It's like what do you?
Because you gave a point that was relevant.
I don't understand what you're objecting to.
You said that the media's never gone after somebody like this before.
You asked me a question. I started to answer it by saying the media has never gone after anyone like this before.
Okay.
And then you just said it doesn't matter. Like, can I answer the question? Like, or you just gotta like contradict right
I'm
away?
not contradicting. I'm just fighting the crazy narrative to prevent anybody from having a real analysis of any of the things going on. But you can answer the whole thing about.
All right, then since you know my narrative, even though you asked the question, I wasn't able to answer it.
You can
I'm
answer
glad
the question.
that you defeat the narrative. No, we're good. We're good.
She's so mad, bro.
I'm not going to actually have you ask a question and then cut me off and say that I'm parroting a narrative when I haven't even told you what my opinion was. That's not you being interesting. That's you being obnoxious.
I think that you're trying to avoid answering the question.
I think she's just
Am I
okay.
being cut off by you?
I said you can finish if you want.
You're trying to avoid answering. Quite literally, I was trying to answer the question. And
I
you cut
think he actually predicted what she was going to say.
me off. So we're good on that. We can move on and talk about something other than Trump and his 95 indictments.
I think it's 91 or 92.
Okay.
Okay. Well, what do we talk about that won't get you as triggered?
Okay. I just honestly, like I said to you at the beginning of this, I said I am an open book. I'm just
curious what you think about the Trump indictments. Do you think that a civil suit that's filed where there isn't a grand jury that looks over it, there's not like a DA case, not like federal prosecution. Do you think that the Diddy stuff is like rock solid? You think that's really, really, really important to look at? But then we look at indictments that have gone to grand juries that have then issued warrants or subpoenas or whatever. I was curious if you think that the credibility on that side is as heavy as the P. Diddy stuff.
I was really happy to answer that question. Would you like me to answer it? Sure. So I would say that you are comparing two cases that are not similar, and I'll tell you why they aren't similar. In the case of Diddy, you have somebody that has no power that is filing this and producing evidence to say that the justice, essentially the same thing that people that defend Trump are saying, the justice system is corrupt, right? That these people are responding and being motivated by things like the LAPD's involvement that night in writing a fake police report, if his allegations are true, and he had photos and said that he was the person that said call 911, and then seeing the media report on it and lie about what happened at that studio is very scary. It's scary if unless he faked these blood photos, which is a plausibility, but it shows you that there are people that are sitting at the top that have a ton of power, right? So the people that are acknowledging that and then also saying that those same people, that same network of individuals that can make up allegations and make them go away with the media or stay and make it a big deal because of the media are defending Trump and what's happening to him. So this isn't, they're actually, these two things are not a conflict with one another, what's happening with Diddy and what's happening with Trump. It's actually, they complement one another in terms of what we're saying. Now, the only case, I followed two of them, the Fannie Willis one.
Well, can I ask a question about the LAPD thing?
Yeah.
So if we're worried because in the P. Diddy case, it looks like the LAPD at the very top might have been involved with something. If that's the claim. I mean, isn't Donald Trump at the very, very, very top? He's the president. Isn't he literally like the top guy in the world?
He doesn't control the courts, and that's hold on. The point of exactly being is that if they feel that they have a person that they cannot control, so if there is this blackmail ring that exists, and it's starting to look like there is definitively, and I very much believe that, and I am not ashamed to say that it is pretty much the only thing that makes sense in Hollywood, is what I read in these documents. Then it would be clear as to why it is that when you are existing outside of the ring, or you are somebody that cannot be controlled, you are somebody that is attacked. Now, again, we have heard many artists, and I like that we have this example in Hollywood because we don't need to go down the path of Trump derangement. We can actually talk about people that we don't feel any way about, right? Diddy, I don't have an issue with Diddy. You don't have an issue with Diddy. We can look at this case more objectively because people, I think, do get so about Trump that you can't just look at things objectively. If what that person is
Wait,
alleging,
do you think that's what happened here?
I mean, you did jump. I'm glad it's live and you can go back and watch it. But like I didn't get it. You asked me a question, and then before I could answer my question, you did say like narrative, and I'm like, okay, that feels like the Trump derangement trap. I don't want to do it. I want to have a productive conversation about the plausibility that people that are extremely powerful are blackmailing people, and these people can't can't speak out because whatever they have on them on camera is scary. You know, there's Justin Bieber. I think there's also something going on with him. His pastor said, pray for them. There are evil forces that in Hollywood, kind of at the same time as this. Cat Williams, I know he used to do crack, whatever, has spoken out about this. There's been a lot of artists that have spoken out about this. Kanye West has spoken out about this, about the control and the network that's happening within Hollywood. So I think instead of I don't know, trying to dismiss these people as crazy or crackheads or whatever it is you want to dismiss them as, when enough people say something, including Michael Jackson, who's dead, maybe there's some truth to it. Like, can we examine whether or not this might be true, especially when somebody is such an underdog like a producer and does something like this?
I think analyzing who's saying what I think is important, but I think that when we say somebody's an underdog, so we're going to believe them because they give a story that we might happen to like or plays into something else that we believe. I mean, I would be critical of the underlying material. Like, if the source are a few people, like everybody stands to gain something when it comes to viral stuff. Everyone knows that. You have outrageous claims to make. Yeah, and if he has evidence, I think that's interesting.
Otherwise, I would have said, I don't know, it's for like, you can always sue a rich person.
But I'm also saying that like a charge is a charge or a claim is a claim or a file case is a file case. It'll be interesting to see what ends up playing out in court, and then we actually see that.
That's what I want to see. I'm not condemning the person. I'm not a person that believes that you. I would hope, and I obviously have lost faith in the court system in some ways, but I would hope that it works the way it's supposed to work, and that it will take more evidence, and that he has to appear in front of people and show us more evidence and show us more video evidence of what's going on. But what I will say is that it looks credible.
Okay. When you say you've lost faith in the court system, does that mean that if a guilty verdict is returned, you'll think it was a good case, but if a non-guilty verdict is returned, you're okay. Well, why would you preface that I've lost faith in the court system?
Because I have seen some circumstances in which things that should not happen do happen, and a good example of that, if you want to talk about the craziest case I followed in a long while, it was the defamation one, where the jury awarded, she was asking for what, 10 million, and they awarded her for 400, 800 million just to like bankrupt Trump, and her allegations had expired, but they created a new law in New York so that she could bring them forth about something that
800 million.
Still happened in 1996. What is that whack lady's name? She was so.
Yeah, you're talking about when they extended the
Carroll
statute of limitations to allow people to sue people relating to.
And then she got funded to reopen this. They changed the law, and then she got funded by the person who is basically, I don't want to call him a Democrat operative, but he obviously is very involved in the Democratic Party. The person that started LinkedIn is the one that funded her to do this lawsuit. I mean, the whole thing is the craziest I've ever seen. It's just like making new laws.
I thought this law was changed in New York a while ago.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Nope, it was specifically after she went on and was doing the rounds on, and those were wacky. When she was like, I don't even know. When he was like, what is rape? Anderson Cooper asked her, and she was like, I think most people think rape is sexy. It's not someone jumping on you and da da da. You know, it'd be great for this if you could bring up clips like that. It'd be awesome for people to be able to watch it. But she was so clearly clinically insane. She was so insane that even Anderson Cooper had to go to commercial, MSNBC had to go to commercial. So this is not a woman, that was making what any person who can listen to somebody interview about their rape would say are credible allegations. But there was just such hatred for Trump that they just made it happen. And in no circumstance, I can't imagine what circumstances somebody asks for like 10 million, and the judge is like, no, you're going to give you 400 million. Other than we hate Trump so much, and we hope to bankrupt him.
Was this a jury trial?
There were multiple parts of this lawsuit, but it was.
Because if it went to trial and if it was a jury, then
it was a jury trial. Yes.
Is there a link to that rape clip? I'm curious.
It's rape. We just gotta look at it. It's so nutty and so crazy, and they just kept going with it everywhere she went, left and right. People could not hold a conversation with her. She was so unstable, and she couldn't even define what rape was. She was just saying, I think rape is just like when someone thinks you're sexy. So it's like, so did Trump just think you were sexy? She had no witness. I mean, I've just never seen anybody able to get for however many millions of dollars she got with absolutely not a shred of proof in a case that shouldn't have even have been brought forward according to your own statute of limitations.
Also, people are saying that the 400 million is that's for the business fraud case. Maybe the.
Sorry, I'm mixing numbers. How much was she awarded for? You guys are like, checking. She was awarded. They gave her more than she even asked for. Yeah, they literally extended the law. The whole thing was so rotten to its core. That makes you lose faith, right? That makes you lose faith in the justice system. That's not saying that there aren't cases. There are different judges. There are different juries. With Trump, it's hard because people are passionate about him one way or the other. So it's going to be hard not to find a jury that is corrupt, especially when you're in New York. But I don't see how any person can objectively look at what happened there.
Wait, what does that mean, a corrupt jury?
Like emotionally corrupted, because when it comes to Trump, people tend
to can trust judge, huh?
feel either I love him so much or I absolutely hate him and he's the end of the world. So I think it's hard to get a jury that is going to be fair in that circumstance because he's so.
Do you know where's P. Diddy being sued at? Do you know what the venue is?
I want to say LA. I want to say LA, but definitely fact check me on that so I don't spread misinformation.
I'm only asking because I see a couple people. Oh, so for this it says Rodney, Lil Rod Jones.
Oh, New York. That's right. It is in New York. Wait, that is correct.
Does that mean that the opening up of the statute of limitations for the Trump suit is the same thing that's allowing this court case to go through then?
No. You got to look at what he's suing them for. This all happened recently. The Trump thing happened in '96. Just so we're clear, this happened in 2022, 21.
All the allegations are recent.
Yeah, it just happened. He was working on an album that he dropped like last year or something. It's not from 1996.
Oh, okay. The way you're talking, I thought these were early allegations.
No. This all just happened, and he obtained a ton of proof because of it.
Gotcha. Have you reached out to this guy to try to have a conversation with him or anything?
No. I would hope that would be. I don't know if you would be able to while you're in court. I'm sure his lawyer would say don't speak until things are done. And my guess is that because of the powerful names that are listed in this lawsuit, they're going to want to just settle it and be done with it. But the photos that are pictured there, it's going to be very hard, I think, to come back from it without some sort of explanation. He named names.
Well, I think my imagination would be the problem is that even if the photos show sexual acts or whatever, the difficult part is going to be proving that these are part of a conspiracy to blackmail or something like that, right? Because there's photos of people having sex or doing whatever stuff isn't probably enough unless you get like text messages showing some pattern of.
Yeah, I think I guess what you're saying is that people could then say, okay, well, they're all having sex, but they're doing it willingly. But what he's alleging is that Diddy's team gets these people drunk and high and drugged and then brings in women that they know are minors. This is one part of his allegations. And then these people have sex with them, or they have gay relations, and like everyone's doing it, and then they do something that's like gay while they're high, and then he owns them because he has this stuff that's on cameras. Now explaining, could you technically, even after it's all exposed, say like, oh well, maybe they all did it willingly? Sure.
Black man.
Always.
Sure, well, I mean, the burden would be on him to prove.
Yeah,
at least,
which is why I really want this to go through, because there's just been a lot of artists who have said this over the years, that there's like some sort of gang that's operating in Hollywood, and I would just like to see these allegations play out, And I think everyone should want that, by the way.
What do you think on a broad level? Yeah. Okay, so you keep calling me contrarian. On a broad level, the reason why I tend to fight back against the overarching narratives is because I feel like they leave listeners feeling very powerless. So when I talk to my audience, I want people to vote. I want people to be politically active. I want people to take an interest in their local city council stuff, their local races, because I think that people getting involved politically, especially voting, is a really important way to change the landscape of our country on a local level or on a national level.
I agree.
I also think that people talking to their friends and family and spreading ideas and messages, I think these things are important as well. But I think that the reason why I push push back sometimes against the broader. When I say narrative, by the way, I don't necessarily mean that's like conspiracy or whatever. But the reason I push back against like the more broader narrativizing of things happening culturally is because I feel like it leaves listeners feeling very disempowered. I remember when I was in Austin and I asked Alex Jones on stage after he'd done another one of his big rants about the deep state and blah, blah, blah. I think I asked him, like, well, what do you want your listeners to do? And it was the first time I ever heard him be quiet for more than 5 seconds. He had no answer. So I'm curious for you, when you talk about this overarching stuff, you want to bring people's attention to it. What is like a Candace Owens listener supposed to take from that? What are they supposed to do in the real world, I guess, to like fight against some of this stuff?
I mean, I always tell people what they can do. Like, one of the biggest pushes is telling parents that they should be involved in their kids' education. And you saw that. That was conservatives who brought forth that movement of parents actually showing up and demanding changes in the textbooks and finally recognizing how far things had gone.
The sun got in the way.
We allowed the Department of Education to just spike the ball for decades, actually paying attention to what they do. I always tell people to get involved in local elections because they matter more. And I think that a lot of the corruption that's taking place in Washington, D.C. is what we're speaking about, because it seems like no matter who we elect, when we send them to Washington, D.C., it's almost like their allegiance is to the lobbies. And by the way, I believe that lobbying should be illegal. I believe that we need term limits. These are the things that would, I think, affect change overnight. And so I hope that in speaking to those things, people say, what would be the first things that you would do if you were in office? I always say, elect people that are saying those exact same things. Don't let people that are then going to go to DC and make it their own business, and want to grow the government because it's making them money and they're accepting money from lobbyists. That's why I always point to my favorite Congressman, Thomas Massey, because I think he does a really good job of actually representing Americans and American interests. So, yeah, I'm not a person, I haven't taken the black pill, as I was termed, taking the black pill, and I'm like, there's nothing you can do. But we have to understand what it is that we're fighting, and we can't be scared to recognize a conspiracy. A lot of times we're just talking, there's questions that we have, and we just say, why is this person doing this? Like I said, the Diddy lawsuit didn't make me feel hopeless. It actually made me go, oh, okay, if this is what's actually happening in Hollywood, then it makes sense. What
do you think for, when you look at black community stuff specifically, what would you think are the big, like 2 or 3 things that the black community in the United States needs to do to kind of save itself from the whole of, fatherless children and welfare consumption and abortion and everything else that they're kind of stuck in right now?
The first thing I think is to
I think
educate.
you should actually ask for solution. There you go.
I think black Americans need to be educated on black history, not in the Democrat textbook way, but in the real way of understanding where all these initiatives came from, because a lot of times black Americans are asking the government to solve what the government created, which welfare programs obviously destroyed the black family, and it was the intention of Lyndon Baines Johnson to do that because he was an avowed racist and spent decades in the Senate voting against every measure to give black Americans any measure of freedom until he was basically forced with a figurative bullet to his head to sign the Civil Rights Act to restore some calm nationally. So I think, first of all, everything begins with education, and I think that people that are nefarious
Will destroy the black community.
which is why the 70% illiteracy rate that we're seeing across inner city communities is in my opinion, by design. 40% of students now can't pass the literacy exam, excluding black America.
When you say by design, who would want that?
People that want to control you. There's a reason why when we had slave codes, slaves weren't allowed to know how to read. When you're not educated, anything I tell you becomes your reality.
I can understand that, but slaves like worked and did stuff, right?
Yeah, so do Americans. Every day we go to work and our money gets sent overseas.
But they have to be literate to go to work, right? I feel like illiterate black people that are doing gang violence probably aren't serving any system very well.
You are, because you keep voting in the people that are taking more power from you.
Right? Do you think those people are voting much, the black gangbangers and stuff?
I think, yes, black people do vote, and it's not
wait, hold on. To be very clear, I didn't say black people, because I don't think that all black people are like this. I'm saying that specifically the ones that are illiterate, involved in gang violence, and are unemployed. Do you think that they're out there voting in a meaningful way that's changing the political landscape of the United States? So they have a meaningful impact on the electoral system?
Yeah. So even if people are fully illiterate, they will vote if they have an emotional reason to vote, which is what the Democrats very much understand. I actually want to correct my language there and say, because I think it's uniparty at this point, that they will continue to vote emotionally. So when you see something like black people rioting and looting in the streets because of what happened to George Floyd, what you are dealing with is people that are being intentionally misinformed about circumstances so that they are emotionally reactive. Because, I have children. I have a 3-year-old. I know what it means to be ignorant. My child can't read. He is emotionally reactive. And if you can turn an entire population into an emotionally reactive toddler that has no facts or no understanding of history, you can make them do whatever it is that you want them to do. So it's
interesting because it feels like the most mind controlled people in America are actually like young white college kids. And those guys have lots of literacy and lots of education. So I don't know why we wouldn't send black people into the college and turn them woke instead of...
Actually, no. But that's actually interesting. I'm glad you brought up college, because if you look factually speaking, Americans are getting dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber, and yet we have never handed out more degrees, which is interesting.
When you say Americans are getting dumber, what do you mean?
What I mean talking about in terms of passing tests, passing exams, the literacy level in America, everything is actually going down, and SAT scores, everything is going down, and which is why they're now like, let's just abolish the SAT. The sort of thing that they're
which I think got rid of and brought back in some places. But I don't know if the same people getting illiterate are the same people that are going to college and getting degrees.
Yeah, we're handing out degrees, and yet people think they're educated when actually they're just brainwashed bots and they're quite stupid. They are stupid, and that's the magic of a college degree, is that it makes people think that they're smart, right? And it's astonishing. You really should examine that. How every decade within America, people are getting dumber and dumber and dumber. And one of the things that my
here comes the conspiracy,
which is really incredible, is he read a letter that was written by a civil rights soldier who's like 17 years old, 18 years old, had no education, and it sounded like poetry, like unbelievable the way people used to be able to speak and write before we created the Department of Education, which in my view it is there just to exist to turn you into a mindless bot that will serve the government's interests.
We can say that, but the reality is aside from the cultural thing, on the economic side, America has one of the most productive workforces, maybe the most productive workforce in the world.
When you say productive workforce, what do you mean by that?
Productive in an economic sense is how many like units of things are produced by 1 hour of labor from a U.S. worker. I'm pretty sure U.S. worker productivity is higher than it ever has been. I think that continues to climb. It's one of the biggest complaints about lack of increase of wage growth, for instance, is that wage growth doesn't seem to attract to the massive increase of productivity of the average American worker or the median American worker. I just think that if you wanted to control, it just seems strange that we've got 2 completely and totally diametrically opposed ways of controlling society. One is to make black people specifically, I guess, illiterate, so that they are easier to manipulate, even though I seriously doubt these people even vote that much. And then the other is to make people the most literate by sending them to college and have them read.
They're not the most literate. That's what I'm telling you. They are not the most literate.
You think people graduate with college degrees can't read well?
Yeah, what I'm telling you is yes. That's what I'm telling you. They're not the most literate.
What would I look up to verify that? If I want to see, like,
you gotta do the research in your
some insane text.
I'm happy. What do you mean it's not true?
That's what I said. As an owner of a college degree, median wage for that person is like...
You can go to college for 4 years and spend $100,000 getting a degree in gender studies. Please do not tell me that you believe that person is educated or highly literate.
More than half the degrees awarded are awarded for STEM related things. Number one. Number two, $100,000 is way over the average for paying for any degree.
Well, that's what I paid. So I'm just...
What did you go to school for?
The average annual, as far as I'm concerned, you can look this up. But if you are going to...
This anecdote plenty, bro.
Well, you're probably spending in America about $30,000 a year, minimally if you're out of state.
Isn't the average amount
Just
of...
look it up. You got to Google, right? What state are we in? What state are we in? Miami? Let's look up University of Florida. Pardon. What state are we in? Florida?
Yeah.
Go to University of Florida. Out of tuition rates. Because what do you mean? $100,000 sounds about right.
Yeah, but we're looking at... So one, this is for...
$28,659 out of state.
Correct.
$30,000.
So one, this is the out-of-state tuition.
Yes, that's what I
Number
just
two, hold on, this is the sticker price. Nobody pays this for school. You've got Pell Grants, you've got different types of student aids, you've got tons of different scholarship initiatives. Very few people
so
actually pay
I'm right,
this
but
price.
you're trying to make me wrong.
Well,
so I paid that price.
I
paid that price, so I paid back my loan, so you're not going to convince me that very few people are paying this. My sisters paid that price, and they paid back. So you're just saying, like, and yes, granted, my school was more expensive. It was, I think, $35,000. There you go. The average, $29,000.
So if we look at
just
the
say you were
average,
right, Candace.
So 51%.
You're not going to get hurt.
So 51% of bachelor's degree students graduate with an average of $29,400 in student loan debt, right? So that's only 51% of people, I guess, that acquire debt, and then their average debt is about $29,400.
I don't get what the point is of you doing this.
The point
are you trying to say?
The point I'm saying is that one, the sticker price for an out-of-state tuition school is not what I would use as the median price you need to pay for a 4-year degree. Number one. Number two, very few people actually pay.
We didn't talk about that because I said this is the median price. I said it is utterly absurd that people are spending $100,000 to come out with a degree. We weren't talking about. We weren't debating the median price.
Sure, but number one,
He's just changing the language now.
out of state. If I'm in state, my tuition is $6,400.
I literally said out of state. I actually said out of state.
Yeah, but why do I care about that number?
I don't get where you're going. The point of when we started this conversation, I was just saying that there are individuals that are going to school that are spending $100,000, right?
I don't know what
for
that has
a
to do with
degree in
anything.
gender studies.
Yeah, but we're talking about, yeah, I'm sure I can probably find people with $1 million student loan debt. They got an even dumber degree in gender studies and basketball, whatever. But in general, that's not the cost of a college degree. And in general, college degrees confer huge wage premiums on the people that earn them.
No, they don't. And that is the reason why you have so many young women that are. And this is why, I think that what you actually do here is harmful. And I'm going to tell you. Let me explain.
Because I've done a lot of research on college degrees and a lot of
Harmful, bro.
education, and every single thing that you're saying sounds really good on like a culture war perspective. When you look at an actual economic perspective, when you look at actual firms that hire people, and when you look at the actual median wages for people that even have some college education, all of it, that's great for you, but for the average American, that's just not true. None of these numbers are found on average. You will never find data that supports that high school earners on average are earning college degree earners, or that 90% of people going to school for basketball weaving. Why would you go to trade school?
Learn a real craft.
Why would you go to trade school?
Please go to trade school. Please do not end up, and I talk about this on stage the whole time, and I'm on the university. I did 2 universities this year. Please, if you do not know what you want to do not go spend a ton of money putting yourself in debt to go into society, already having debts that you need to pay off, to make $25,000 a year in a career path that you didn't even know that you wanted to take because you're listening to destiny. Like, and by the way, I am.
But it's going to make 25,000 a year. Independently, I mean,
I am so right. Please go to trade school and don't listen to this.
And retirement.
Listen to me because I bought into this rhetoric because I was in high school and you're gonna be great. You're gonna go and you're gonna get blah blah blah. And then when you get out in the world, it's gonna be great. You're gonna have good representation. You're gonna make more money. It is a lie. That I don't care what website he is looking on to tell you that is a lie. The overwhelming majority of people, I'm so glad people in the chat are saying that I am right because the overwhelming amount of people are shocked when the real world then smacks them in the face and that lie, that dream that was sold to you by your guidance counselors in high school, that's gonna be so great. You're gonna be able to make more money, and you just start to realize that it is absolutely crap. And I really would like to say, do not disrespect people that go to trade school because I just so.
What are you talking about? Why are we virtue signaling on this? You should go to trade school. You go to college to make more money.
That's not true. It's just not true.
We mean it's not true.
That's not true. You can quite literally, you can be the person that goes to trade school and you will make so much money doing jobs that actually bring value to society.
Computer programmers don't bring value to society. Mechanical engineers don't bring value to society.
If you want to be a mechanical engineer, yes, but if you know what you want to do, you know you want to be a chemical engineer. I'm not saying nobody should go to college. I'm saying too many people are going to college. They're putting themselves in debt for things that they don't even know what they want to do, and they get out into the world and they can't make any money, and it is a struggle, and they are suffering. I'm watching these girls. I know that people on the right like to mock these girls who are crying on TikTok, who are saying like, I got to college and here's how no money that I can make. I didn't know this. I actually feel bad for those girls because we have to just stop lying to people about what college is. It's been inflated. You are
look at like black
the
community
worth
stuff.
of it.
In the black community, isn't one of the reasons why women are starting to out-earn black men is because they're going to school and they're going to college and they're actually getting degrees and they're getting real careers? Isn't that one of the biggest contributing factors?
I don't know that.
Okay. Okay. Final question.
I think women, by the way, all across the board.
She don't know that though. So that must be wrong.
Are graduating at higher rates than men. But I do want to say because I want to make a point about what you do. Because I did see that you did a video and you were like taking the side of hoes. Like you saw this Candace.
Did she say selfish bitch? I must have misheard.
Selfish bitch.
Holy. Oh, I'm gonna get triggered. I feel like I might lose my mind this episode. I agree that these people can be cringe sometimes, but you're saying she's a narcissistic that men shouldn't marry? You're taking that so far.
It's a partnership. It's a bond. It's forever. But there's no difference between dating and marriage.
There is a difference. You just ignored it because you
I mean,
got
this was this on, yeah.
dialogue tree and a narrative you want to push. You're not going to engage with anything she's saying. She gave you a perfectly legitimate answer. It is a more permanent form of relationship. It's solidified by law. It's nothing you just walk away from or break up from. It's a commitment, ideally for life, that she gave you a good answer. You just don't like to hear it because it was a good one, and you would expect your OnlyFans girl to give you one. And now you're surprised a bunch of girls that you thought were going to be titty bimbos are actually giving you a run for your money.
Okay, insecurity. Women, I say, are very low value.
I'm not bashing. Hold on, I'm not bashing. The women are low value, that they're going to have worse relationships in life, they're going to be unhappy, but I'm not bashing them.
Absolutely fascinating to see how someone's mind can be so warped. The same way I think it's fascinating.
Fat bro.
Respectful listening to
No, you're not respectful.
I'm sitting down with hoes on the whatever podcast, and you
were being so rude to that lady that made the TikTok. Oh my god!
But the point is that you then went through
you
this.
Called her a bitch.
You then went through this video and just tried to justify these lifestyles, right?
I don't think I was trying to justify the lifestyle. What I was doing was I was fighting back against the insane judgment from one side to the other.
Actually getting called out.
We live in America. People should be able to live the lifestyles they want. As long as they're not harming other people, I think everybody has the right to pursue
And I just want to say to people that are watching this, to anybody that you follow, literally, you should take measure and really ask yourself whether or not that person is telling you that stuff because they believe it, or whether or not that person is telling you something that ultimately it feels good because then it means that you can remove yourself from responsibility. Oh, I see, yeah, it's fine, I can be a hoe, whatever, but it's going to lead you to misery, right? And so I tell people, I've seen a lot, I've been through a lot, I've lived through a lot, very proud of myself where I've ended up, and I'm trying to provide people the shortcuts. And I'm trying to tell you that, yes, I understand that as a young woman, if you jump onto OnlyFans, you can make money, and you can make money very quickly. But I'm also telling you that if you do that, you will, the overwhelming majority of people, can you find an exception, sure, will regret that sort of a lifestyle. And to these young people that are listening to you doing the YOLO, if it makes you happy, don't. I'm telling you, throw this out, it is trash.
I agree. You shouldn't do OnlyFans as a young person.
You should not be aspiring to open relationships, being a prostitute, somebody that's just holding up a mirror to tell you that you're great and you're doing amazing. You don't need that. You're not great. You can do better, right? Your life is worth more. There are rules that work. College is every single person that I went to school with is not using the degrees that they paid for.
What did you go to college for?
Journalism.
Isn't that what you're doing right now?
What do you mean?
Like journalism stuff?
You probably don't know my backstory. So because my family was poor, I had to take out loans to go to school. My mom didn't even graduate high school. So
wait, what? If your family's poor, why would you take out loans to go to school?
She's got that himself.
What? I just told you.
If your family's poor, why would you take out loans to go to school?
Why would I have to take out loans to go to school? What do you mean? I have to take out loans my family can afford to pay to put me through school.
Hold on. Was your family actually poor or did you just lie?
What are you talking about?
If you go to school and your family has a low gross income, you fill out FAFSA. And the FAFSA is going to award you a ton of federal aid, assuming you don't actually have the gross income for your parents to actually go to school. So if your parents are super poor, I don't know why you had to pay full out-of-state tuition to go to a university.
I did. What do you mean did I lie?
I don't know how if your parents are poor, if they have a low gross income, how do you not qualify for the FAFSA?
Okay, well, all I can say to you is that I had to pay 35 almost. My school cost more, and by the end of it, and I'm also including because then I defaulted on my student loans, I had to pay it back, so now I had to pay back the bank for not being able to pay them on time.
Something doesn't match up.
Okay, well, I'm telling you the truth, so I don't know what to say.
Did you fill out a FAFSA?
Yeah, well, I also didn't have parents that could help me fill it out. I was a first-generation college student. My dad.
You didn't have the same school counselor you told these people to ignore. You didn't talk to one of them. And say,
I don't know if you're trying to shame me for not doing it right.
I'm not trying to shame you. I'm not shaming anything.
I don't get your point. I'm telling you the truth. I have no reason to lie about this.
My point is, you have any article about
it. You're so dumb, bro.
You told these people not to talk to counselors. You said your family was poor, so you went to school for journalism, and out-of-state tuition, you didn't fill out a FAFSA for any student aid.
I'm just saying, what is your point in saying, am I lying about it?
Because I don't understand how you came from a poor family and didn't fill out a FAFSA and get a ton of student aid.
I did fill out FAFSA.
And they didn't give you anything?
I maybe got, in terms of, I remember getting a Pell Grant that was like $8,000.
Okay.
But I'm telling the truth, so I just want to be clear. I'm telling the truth about my life. I don't know what to say to you. And I don't get what was your question of saying, why did you take out a loan if you were poor? I don't understand that question. I don't get it.
Because the implication is that if you filled out a FAFSA, your parents' gross income is used to heavily determine the amount of student aid you qualify for. And if you're coming from an incredibly poor family, you usually get a ton of student aid.
That's not what happened. Maybe that's circumstance. And please, guys, jump in the chat. If somebody said, Destiny, that's stupid. I don't think they just give you free college if you're poor. That's not my experience. Did you go to university? Did you get free money?
I did, and I got some free money, but I had to get married for it because my parents had a high gross income and a lot of debt, so I didn't qualify for the FAFSA. So I didn't marry at 19.
I paid back my student loans all by myself. So I could tell you that I spent over 6 figures paying back my student loans to attend the University of Rhode Island, and that is the truth. And no, I am not lying. My family does not have any money. My parents don't own anything. We don't even have a house. We don't even own. Obviously, I don't mean we're homeless. I mean my family didn't even own property. So it's no, I'm not lying about that. So I don't know what route we're chasing there.
Isn't the issue here then? Why would you go? Also, I understand if you're leaving because you said you were hard at 3.36. So I don't understand why you go to an out-of-state school for a journalism degree and then turn around and blame colleges for being bad when it feels like
I'm not blaming colleges for being bad. I'm telling people the truth so that they can avoid making some of the mistakes.
Which is don't go to an out-of-state school for a degree that might
not
for
yes,
she's literally telling them don't go to college.
Probably should have. Yes, I'm sorry that I was 17 years old and I didn't have parents that were able to provide the economic advising. Of course, that would have been smarter. My sister, 2 of my sisters went in state, but they still had really heavy loans. So I don't know about this FAFSA magic thing that you think happens. Then my sister paid about $20,000 a year when she went in state. So I just don't know what you're talking about at all with that because all of my sisters, we all had to pay loans. My older sister just finished off paying her loan, so I don't know. I just don't know what we're talking about, the FAFSA magic button. And maybe honestly, if I missed the FAFSA magic button and they were going to pay for everything, then maybe I am just really stupid and I had no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
Pay for everything,
I'll be honest. Maybe it's a
not...
difference in areas of people we talk to. Maybe because the high school I went to was very oriented in trying to get you to college. But when I was going to college, I think FAFSA stuff was the most important thing, student aid.
But I did feel that. I don't know if it's because my family had multiple children and we were all going to. I don't know what the circumstances, but I'm just telling you the truth is that I paid for my college, and I do try to tell people that if you don't know what you want to do, spending tens of thousands of dollars trying to figure it out is probably not the right move. You can always go to college. You can go later. Try to figure out what you're good at. Get an internship. I hire people that are right out of high school because I don't just believe this. There was a young woman that now works for me who's like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I kind of just want to be a mom. I was like, do not spend, and her out of tuition rate was $50,000 for a Tennessee school. And so I hired her. I mean, I'm not telling people, like I said, I tell people how I actually live, what I actually believe, and I don't know that you do that. Don't justify women acting like whores.
Well, I don't justify trying to prescribe lifestyles to people.
What?
Don't justify trying to prescribe lifestyles to people.
It's not prescribing a lifestyle. It's just
when somebody said that they would be happy not having kids, you're like, oh, she sounds like a conceited bitch or something.
That's not what she said.
That was the TikTok clip you responded to.
That's not what she said, and I can tell you exactly what she said. I said there was absolutely no reason to make she was actually being insulting people that had kids. It wasn't just one video. She makes multiple videos about how great life is if you don't have kids. If I was making videos with my kids saying about how great life is if you just stop being a loser and get married, people would come after you because people hate the traditional lifestyle on display.
But that's literally what you guys say.
Yeah, but there's just one person doing this.
That's the only way to go. Otherwise, you're a loser.
No, we do not. You're just making up words that have never come out of my mouth.
So if somebody said if there was a young woman, she's like, I'm 20, I think I'm gonna go to a career and be whatever. I don't think I want to have a family. I don't think life's for me. You would say, okay, that's fine. You should make a choice.
No, I would say that's completely normal at 20 years old. That's
wait, so then they should change their opinion later on. What if she was 25 or 30? She's like, no, I don't think I want to have kids. Would you be okay? That's fine.
If she was a 20-year-old person and she was saying that I don't think that I want to have kids, then what I would say is that's pretty typical because you're 20 years old and you haven't yet had the biology thing happen to you, which when they say that your biological
biology thing
starts taking, it's very real. When you get into your mid-20s, you have a totally different feeling.
So if a woman is 25 or 30 and says, I don't think I want kids, I think I like my career, stick with it. You'd say, okay, that's fine. It's your choice.
Yeah, as long as that person isn't trying to. And by the way, I think that person would probably be. It would be unusual. It wouldn't be the majority of women. I think do want to have families and want to aspire to family, and that's fine. But when you try to create a brand of it and you say things like, "Oh well, if you have kids, then you can't just smoke pot and stay in bed and be naked all day." This is actually something that Seth Rogen just said. What you're doing there is you're actually trying to. You're 30. How old are you? You're 35 years old.
Yep.
Okay, so what is that? What do you
do?
Like if you were 20 and
It's actually destroyed again.
Millionaire, I travel the world, I get to research, talk about whatever I want, I get to talk to cool people like you and other people. I live in Miami in a high rise for 5,000 a month. I mean, I think my life is pretty okay. I mean,
but no, but I'm saying like, what are you doing when you're trying to sell to people that, you know, being a hoe is cool, smoking pot, saying
I don't necessarily think
are you going to age out of that?
What I talk,
you're a 35-year-old man, right? Like, you know, and you're kind of doing the like, I'm a college dorm kid and I'm trying to make everything sound cool. But I just want to point out the fact that you're a 35-year-old man and your words should matter and they should have weight. Like if you were 20, I'd be like, I get it. When you're 35, you know, say things with conviction. Say things that have meaning. You know, and
like when I asked you what would you recommend to a woman at 25 or 30, I didn't start rambling about what a 20-year-old do and how biology blah blah blah. I would say exactly what I would tell a woman at 25 or 30.
Yeah, I know, but your behavior and I will appreciate that people that are younger won't understand what I'm saying until you hit 35, which is I'm done.
This behavior enhanced.
35 this year. Okay. You're acting like you're a college dorm kid.
Yeah, and your catty insults towards people online make you seem like a high school mean girl. Okay. I mean, like, what do you mean? Like, we all have our things.
But you're selling to them things that you know aren't good. So
what do you think
if you were a 25-year-old, like when I'm on the whatever podcast and I'm surrounded by women that are in their 20s and they're saying like, you know, the whole life is good. The reason why I said to that girl that I'm going to pray for you is because I know that she's going to have a different perspective when she's older. So I'm not upset by that. I don't feel like that needs to be attacked when those young girls are around me and we're talking about all these topics. When I'm sitting with a 35-year-old man, okay, and you know better, okay.
Wait, what do you think I'm selling people?
Well, what I said when you were defending the lifestyle of being a hoe, why are you doing that?
I don't think I defend the lifestyle of being a hoe.
You did a whole video basically saying that none of my points of me trying to tell these women that they essentially you can do something better, you don't have to sell your body. This was your like snazzy video comeback to it. Why are you making a comeback? Yes, you can make a video and be like, why can't someone do heroin? But why would you as a 35-year-old man want to sell something to someone or make it seem okay or cool or relevant when you know it's harmful to them? I don't get that because of your age.
So I don't understand. I don't know what your takeaway from the video was. If there are researchers that give you like talking points in my videos, but generally what I talk about is when it comes to lifestyle, you have to analyze both sides of things. If you grow up incredibly religiously conservative and you are like shamed out of sex and you don't have sex with anybody your whole life because you're super, you know, hyper cognizant of your virginity and all these like weird things, and that's like coming from unhealthy external places, like, oh, well, maybe that's worth exploring. On the flip side, if you grow up like hyper liberal and you fuck like 20 guys by the time you're 20 years old and you just want to bang everybody, you got like weird associations with men and everything, I'd say, hey, you should probably slow down. It's probably not healthy. I just encourage people to like explore honestly, to have like conversations with themselves, with their parents, could be with priests, could be with therapists, could be whatever, and to kind of figure out what works for them and don't get pushed into one direction from a culture side. It could be the left encouraging people to be way too promiscuous, or it could be the right for people that are
reasonable take,
saying that well, this one lifestyle of family stuff is going to biologically be suited towards you as you get older. I think both of these are equally stupid because it just pushes people in the other direction.
So you don't believe in anything. That's what you're saying.
Is that what you got for that?
Well, you're not committing to
I believe
anything.
in actually thinking for yourself. That's what I think. I think that every human being roughly exists in
doesn't believe in anything, bro.
Paradigm where if you fuck 100 people by the time you're 20, probably not healthy. If you've never had sex before you're 30, probably not healthy. And then you should probably like try to gravitate towards what are like human norms and then what are things that make you happy depending on your culture, depending on your geography, and then you kind of like explore in there. Don't be shamed out of exploring from one side to the other. Don't be pushed into something because somebody like Candace Owens or somebody like Stephen Manel tells you that you have to do a particular thing, but just like kind of
I don't tell people that they have to do a particular thing, but if I see somebody that's doing heroin, I'm not going to be like, you know, it's whatever. It's just like whatever.
You think that heroin is comparable to recreational sex?
I am, quite frankly, I actually think a woman, as the one that I sat across from when you were critiquing this video, who says that she slept with up to, 20 men per night, yeah, it's just as bad. And I know that has to be hurting her soul, so I look at her as a human being.
Hurting her soul? But she just has a different lifestyle.
20 men per night, bro.
No, you know.
No, what do you mean? You know, she's telling you, she was very honest actually, and that's why I appreciate her, because she was very honest that for her, it is just about money, okay? But when I see that individual, when a young woman is saying that she'll sleep and see up to 10 to 20 clients per night, that's a broken individual. And just as when you see somebody who says that, you know, they're doing heroin or doing this, they don't need the guy, the cool guy at the party, like, yeah, man, it's whatever. It's like, no, you actually, like, structure, you need somebody to say to you, you don't have to do this. There's so much better potential within you. You are young, you have your entire life ahead of you. Let's figure out what it is that you're great at. I understand the economic concerns. It's a really tough economy and it's easy money, but there's other things that you can do to make money that will give you better self-value. And so that's why I say that I think that what you're doing as a 35-year-old man is you're lying. You're just lying.
Do you think I'm telling women on average that fucking 20 guys
when you make videos and you're replying to conservatives who are rightfully saying that this lifestyle is not good, which should be abundantly clear to every single person, yeah, what you're trying to do is lie in a clever way. And ultimately, like I said,
literally lying.
20, I'd be fine with it. But when
first of all, I don't know why if I was 20, why that would make you fine with it.
Because
you have the same influence in your audience regardless.
Because your brain's not developed when you're 20.
Number two, so what? Your brain's always building as you grow.
No, your brain develops when you're 25, 26 years old. And so when you see a 20-year-old and they have a bunch of positions, I don't hold them to it. I think
Brain's Oregon talking point.
No, I think that's with life experience. I think as you grow
up, like literally factually, I don't know if you want to Google this, but your brain develops when you're 25.
If you really want to Google it factually, the 25 number came from one study that was done like 30 years ago where they only measured brain development up to 25. And the reality is the plasticity of your brain and every other structure of your brain continues to grow into your 30s. That's technically where that number comes from. It's not true. You can look at whatever you want. The 25, 26 things in this number is not true.
Well, like I said, if you were 20, I would accept it. There is such a thing as objective truth, and people that shirk and pretend that there's not, and like everybody can do whatever they want. It's about things that are harmful to people. Like objectively speaking.
So like, what is the upper bounds on recreational sex that you think is harmful or not harmful?
When you're selling your body and sleeping with old.
I'm not asking that. I'm just saying, what is the upper bounds on recreational sex that you think is like healthy for a human being? Like, if you go past this, you're like clearly over the line.
I'm not gonna say to a person this is a number that you should sleep with, and this makes you
bad.
Don't
accuse me of believing nothing. I'm not saying
I'm specifically talking about the whatever podcast.
I'm going to attack
he's not going to say the name.
Same people that you do. Some woman's not
saying
that.
Yes,
you can fuck 20 guys a night and do only 18. I'm saying in general, that's a pretty wacky, that's a pretty out there position. I argue with tons of people over this. I don't encourage people to
what are you trying to do? What purpose are you trying to fulfill? When you as a 35-year-old man see me sitting down with these young women trying to say you don't need to do this, you don't have to do this for money, and you like attack it and try to be like, Candace is just a bitch, or like whatever, like she's blah blah blah, she's just being a high school mean girl. It's like, no, I am trying to tell these women that they are worth more. And when I said to that girl at the end of it, which I don't believe you showed, that I will pray for you and that you can do much more than this, that came from the heart. Actually.
No, that is the most condescending thing. I will pray for you.
Okay, you can deal with your, you know, I know that you went to a school and you got some issues with somebody. But I meant that because
I love my high school.
Because for me to say, like, I meant what I said to her, that I would pray for her. Like when she was describing how she was very upfront.
You'll pray for her
because I did pray for her.
Then do it privately. Why do you need to tell her that? You're only telling me that because you think you've got such a condescension about you. You've got such an air You're going to pray for
air of
your
superiority because I said God forbid someone says that's obviously an air of superiority because they're saying they're going to include you in their prayers.
Well, I mean, like,
literally something
This kind of condescending a bit, bro.
like quite literally, God forbid. Wasn't there a whole story of a lady going to a temple and quietly putting like 2% or whatever fucking
weird anti-Christian rhetoric. Oh my God! If you say I'll pray for you, it's obviously you trying to do better. It's like no. Why are you even reacting to that? I'll pray for you. I'll pray for everybody that listens and watches this show. When people say that they're going to pray for you, they actually mean it. You guys, they just mean it. There's no
She's protecting the subject.
entendre thing going on there, and anybody that can go back and watch that clip, you will see that I was not speaking above her. I actually genuinely responded to that girl because she was so honest and she was so forthcoming. I thought I actually wanted to do more stuff with her, and we tried to reach out with her because she wasn't trying to lie or trying to pretend like her lifestyle was for health. She was clear that it was for money, and she was like, I'm not gonna lie, this is why I do this, and I genuinely paid for. Actually, we were not enemies that were sitting across the table, so no, it was not condescending when I started praying. It was a fact. When I left, I said I will keep you in my prayers because I have in my heart I want to see that girl in 10 years and know that she left that field and she is able to speak to women that are still within it. I think they have to sell their bodies for money and sleep with 10 men per night. I am going to continue to pray for that young woman because we need people who transform their lives to then show people that they can transform their lives, and it's not condescending to pray for anybody ever. So
I will pray for you too then.
You should.
Okay.
I hope you pray for me. I want you to include me in your prayers. I want every person watching this to. I feel like our society's gotten so like anti-Christian. Oh my God, they're trying to get like no, like I'll pray for you. I will literally pray for every single person that I think needs a prayer, and I felt like she needed a prayer. Like she's
Inshallah.
like she could be there, you know. Okay. And you should watch it. Her and I had there was no beef between her and I.
Well, you're telling me I did watch it and responded to it. So I remember watching and responding to you. It was going over the TikTok stuff.
Praying is cool, you guys. Just super dope to pray.
Yeah, telling other people to pray.
I'll pray for you. Look at that. But it's not cringe. There's nothing cringe about being a Christian. It's actually
the
dopest thing you can do is pray in public. You know, talk about your faith and your Christianity. There's nothing cringe about being a Christian. There's nothing cringe about praying for others. There's nothing cringe about getting on your knees and praying to God when things are wrong in your life. And so that culture needs to come back. And everything that's going wrong in the society is by people being like told that praying. No, there's nothing about dope. It's cool. This is the new wave.
Well, listen. I just agree with everything.
Serious thing, huh?
Okay. I think you're harmful to America. You think I'm harmful? That's fine.
No, I didn't say you're harmful to America. I just said that it is harmful when you do things like that. When you know something's wrong and you still try to like find a way out. And I just think that we can all acknowledge that selling your body is not a good thing, and we should encourage people to do it.
Okay. Do you want to find you, or do you want to direct them to anything that you're working on? Yeah.
Listen, if you are a super not Candace Owens fan, if you're like the biggest non-Candace Owens fan, I really challenge you to not believe the headlines that you've read and just watch one episode of my show. You don't have to commit to anything. Just watch one episode and actually listen to what I say out of my mouth and not how it's being interpreted by other people. And I know I've gotten so many emails people saying that they changed their lives because just so you know, I am not better than you. Like I say on my show the whole time, I drank with the best of them. I took the most liberal route to conservatism that there ever was. So I'm not better than anybody that I speak to. I'm speaking from the heart and trying to get people to avoid certain traps that I wish that I would have been able to avoid in my life. And we can have disagreements, but I think if you check out my channel on YouTube, check out the podcast, listen to one episode, you're probably going to be able to very quickly determine and see where my heart's at.
Okay, cool. Thanks. And again, we're combative, but I do appreciate the conversation.
No, I do too. I would probably love to have you on my show. We could talk about other topics as well, but I actually want to know what you think.
Sure thing. Yeah, if you ever want to, just send me an email. So yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thanks. Bye.
Let's be good with it.